Welcome to the Forum Theater. I'm really glad you guys are here tonight. My name is Kristi Pulliam. I work at the Foundation of Arts. I'm also privileged to get to serve on the Downtown Jonesboro Alliance Board of Directors. I'm married. I have 6 kids. I've lived in Jonesboro for 22 years, I think. I have an investment in downtown Jonesboro and, of course, in the arts as well. So I'm thankful that the candidates have chosen to come share some thoughts with us. Brock Klein and Hans Hocker will be serving as your moderators, and really they'll be more like conversationalists. We'll have each candidate come up and spend about 20 minutes with us, and Brock will tell you all the different ways that we came up with this format. And so Brock Klein, come on out. There you are. Brock is the chair of the Downtown Jonesboro Alliance Board of Directors, and so she is going to be wonderful tonight for us. And then Hans, come on out, Hans. Hans serves on the Community Development and Advocacy Committee at the Foundation of Arts, and he will also be adding to the all the color and fun of tonight. All right. Candidates, the other 2 candidates actually are waiting somewhere else. So there will be a little transition time to get them over here for the next conversation. So if you'll be patient with us, talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll get them up here too as well. All right? Thank you so much.
Good evening and welcome to Conversations with the Candidates, a debate among candidates for Mayor of Jonesboro and hosted by the Foundation of Arts and the Downtown Jonesboro Association. I am Hans Hocker, and along with Brock Klein, I will serve as co-moderator of this event. The purpose of our event tonight is this: to provide an opportunity for each candidate to address pressing questions facing our community, and to do so thoughtfully, carefully, and advisedly without the pressure of an adversarial environment. I assure you, no one will interrupt anyone else, and no flies will be allowed to land on any candidate's head.
They will answer questions prepared by a committee, including Kristi Pulliam, Lindsay Ford Wingo, Kenny Fields, Will McLean, and Hans Hocker. We provided each candidate the questions several days in advance. Some questions are the same for each, and other questions speak to the candidate's particular qualifications. Candidates will have between 1.5 and 2 minutes to answer each question. Earlier today, the candidates conducted a random draw for the order in which they will appear on the stage. Candidates will wait their turn across the street at the Foundation of Arts Center until it's time for them to take the stage. We will all rely on the honor system to ensure that candidates waiting their turn do not receive any knowledge of the previous candidate's answers. Immediately following this event, please plan to attend the meet and greet in Rotary Centennial Plaza outside this theater. So let's begin with our first candidate.
Our first candidate is Andy Shatley. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Hocker and Brock. Just met you backstage.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with the questions. Your first question is, what are the differences in being a physical therapist and athlete and being the mayor?
Oh, there's big differences, but there's a lot of similarities too. So let's talk about the differences. Certainly not responsible for a $70 million budget being a physical therapist. That's going to be a large task for anybody who's elected mayor this November the 3rd. Some of the other differences are the wide variety of things that you will be making decisions on, and also arriving at solutions. as far as the 23 different department heads. Very specialized in the healthcare profession, being in physical therapy, and being an athlete like you talked about. But let's talk about also some of those similarities. Some of those similarities as far as leadership skills and the ability to manage people and put people in successful situations. Those are some of those same skill sets that you'll see translate over, but probably not as many differences as there are similarities. I feel like I'm playing tennis here.
So, Councilman David McLean? Councilman David McLean noted that anyone running for the mayor's position better be ready to drink from a fire hose. What kind of experience do you have to prepare you to be the boss of 300-plus employees and answer to the citizens of Jonesboro with your experience?
Well, I don't have experience drinking out of a fire hydrant, but I do have experience drinking out of a water hose. I grew up so that was a big deal when I was a kid and you're playing basketball, and that's where you got your water from, the water hose. So let's talk about the number of employees. There are actually a lot more than 300 employees. There are almost 600 employees in the city of Jonesboro. And it's important to understand that whenever you're managing a large program, you are not managing all employees. There's an organizational structure in place, very similar to the healthcare organizational structure in the sports medicine program that I direct at St. Bernard's, to where you are responsible for your department heads, and the department heads are responsible for employees underneath theirs. There's an organizational structure in place because you don't want one person managing 600 people. That's called micromanagement. What you want is you want that person, in the city's situation to where you have approximately 22 to 23 department heads, about 5 chiefs. You want the mayor managing chiefs that report directly to him or her, and then they manage their departments. So that's the way an efficient organization should be ran, so that you, as a leader, as a servant leader, you turn to those department heads and you say, how can I help you be successful in your situation? So the bigger the organization, the higher you go in leadership, the more you become a servant to the people that you're working with. So there are a lot of issues that are going to be dealt with being the mayor of Jonesboro. It's important to be able to identify talented people, to make sure that you have people in the right position and you empower them to make good decisions, data-driven solutions in the department that they are in. That is what I call servant leadership, and it's exactly what you'll get if you elect me your next mayor.
Thank you very much. Next question is, at the end of your 4-year term, what are the 3 accomplishments you will have achieved, and how will you pay for them?
Thank you for segueing into my campaign slogans. I have 3 of those. Trust, transparency, and teamwork. Those are campaign promises that I want to see happen in the next 4 years. And let's talk about those. Those are things that you can deliver on, and they don't cost anything. Teamwork. Making sure we have a representative city government in Jonesboro. That has been mentioned multiple times, that everybody who wants to participate in city government and city leadership, and may it be a commission, a board, a committee, has the opportunity and they're welcome to participate. That's very important, and that's something that you've seen in the media, and you've seen even our city government admit that we have a deficit in diversity. There's been a diversity resolution that was passed on city government in 2018, sponsored by City Councilman L.J. Bryant. And the question is have we made progress in that area? And I think if you do the math, you'll see we haven't. So that's something we can deliver on. Transparency. Transparency is something I've talked about for the entire campaign. And there's a transparency index that my campaign has been using for the last year or so that comes out of University of Central Arkansas. And it is three different departments or categories of government transparency. You have fiscal, political, and administrative transparency. So there is a rubric that they use that we can overlay. They use that same rubric over the 75 counties, and it's out there. It's very good. And all the counties are scored, and I think it opened up a lot of people's eyes in government to understand that we have a long way to go in transparency. as far as being able to access information on the city's website and also see everything that the taxpayers' dollars are going towards in an easy fashion to get a hold of. So the last thing is trust. If you have built teamwork and transparency, trust comes with that. And so at the end of 4 years, I want to improve the relationship and the trust in between the citizenry and City Hall. Those are my 3 campaign promises for the next 4 years.
Thank you. Next question. It's a yes or no question, and we'll give you a little time to follow up on that. Would you support a mask mandate for the city of Jonesboro?
Yes or no? No. Because it's arbitrary. There are too many exceptions. A lot of things I've heard is that, well, a mask mandate is kind of like requiring seatbelts. It's not, because there are exceptions. And so it puts our police, or whoever is going to enforce the wearing of masks, it puts them in a very precarious position. Certainly, there is a burden on our police department right now. We only have 170 officers in 82 square miles, and they have a big job to police Jonesboro, Arkansas. We absolutely don't need to add another burden of responsibility to them. And one of the in the model mask mandate that came down from the governor, it talked about the police would play a supporting role to businesses and also would be educating the public. That's not the role of the police department. So I certainly think that they have their hands full trying to make sure that Jonesboro continues to be safe. Now, you kind of clarified that, and you said, okay, locally versus at a state level. Now, the governor has a mask mandate in place. We have to follow the governor's mandate. It's also it's about the businesses, and there are certain areas that the Arkansas Department of Health overlooks very closely, like salons or barber shops, and in the medical institutes. That is the purview, certainly, of the Department of Health, and we have to abide by what they say. But I would like to kind of fall back on a solution that I have promoted, is if public health decisions are being made in the future in Jonesboro, I would like to see, and I will, if elected mayor, put together a public health commission comprised of local hospital administrators that can report on the number of people in the hospital and our capacity to take care of people that have either COVID-19 or whatever pandemic we face in the future. They also need legislators to make sure that we're not having some sort of arbitrary restrictions like a mask mandate that may be unconstitutional. It's very important that we see both sides of that coin. The third side of that coin is the economic impact of some of the restrictions that have come down have been very burdensome for a lot of programs and businesses, specifically nonprofit like the FOA. So I want to see a various combination of people on that Public Health Commission, and then I'm going to ask that Public Health Commission to help give recommendations on any restrictions and how we handle public health in the future.
Thank you. So we're going to switch gears a tiny bit and focus on our downtown area. Downtown Jonesboro and the FOA are points of pride in our city. What plan would you get behind or create to make downtown even more livable and viable for current and future Jonesboro citizens?
I'm glad you brought that up, because right now, moving through City Council, we have the Downtown Jonesboro Code update. It's a 77-page document that I downloaded immediately when it started coming through. These are ideas and concepts and solutions that have been floating around Jonesboro for the last 4 or 5 years. Very excited about those, because what you see is a focus on pedestrian priority. There are 2 areas that are in this code as far as the way it's divided out, and you see pedestrian priority areas, pedestrian-friendly areas, and core mixed use. So I think it's important to have a plan. Let me say that again. I think it's important to have a plan. This is a comprehensive plan that we've been waiting for a long time in Jonesboro, specifically downtown. Give us a plan, give us an idea architecturally what we're looking for in certain areas of Jonesboro. What is that flow supposed to look like on how pedestrians, bicycle, and cars interact so that they can interact safely? And what is that experience going to be like in the future downtown? This new updated code is going to be the answer to that. I'm very excited about the implementation of this moving forward.
So what are your plans to meet the needs of the homeless community while also addressing loitering downtown and the safety of downtown patrons and businesses?
So let's go to the homeless issue first. And what I was glad to see was recently we were about to do a land swap. The city was about to do a land swap with one of our buildings that's just north of Johnson, the Public Works building. We were going to do a land swap. That's going to be a great building that we already own that could potentially be transitioned into a homeless shelter. I would absolutely get behind that, and that could be done within the next year. So to solve a lot of the issues that you've already mentioned is first we have to have a location for people to go to, and we have to have resources in place. I have talked to, for the last year or so, the leadership of the hub here in Jonesboro. We have a new executive director, and the board of directors are very excited about the moving forward of being rolled underneath the CRDC. That's going to give them organizational structure moving forward and a financial basis to what they needed. So a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are falling into place to solve chronic homelessness. The last piece of the puzzle that we need to solve is that we need a warehouse for furnishings for homes or apartments whenever somebody finds a place to live. 2 weeks ago, I met with a group that has come to Jonesboro quite a bit over the last year or two to provide furnishings called Hope International. They're out of Missouri. They need a warehouse. They have 85,000 square foot warehouse to where they warehouse furnishings, and we could have that here or right outside of town. So all of the pieces of the puzzle are in place to solve the homelessness issue. We just have to have a facility people go to. It needs to be on the circuit for the JETS transportation bus system. One of the other things is we needed a grocery store. A grocery store is right around the corner from this location. The next thing is we need a bank. We need a bank in close vicinity to that so that people have access to those things that they need to get their feet back underneath them and be back to productive members of society. So I think there was also a bit to the end of that I may not have gotten to, but I may have run out of time here.
We're on time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's see. That last part had to do with safety downtown for patrons and businesses, and I think it kind of dovetails a little bit with the next question, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd love to kind of go back to that a little bit if we
Sure.
could.
What does the Foundation of Arts mean to you, and what part will this city play in ensuring that it and this beautiful Forum Theater remain viable?
I need about 45 minutes to answer this question if you're going to ask me what the Foundation of Arts means to me.
You do not have 45 minutes.
This is probably the most comfortable I've ever been on stage. I can't begin to describe what the Foundation of Arts has meant to me, my family, and this community. This stage, I have sang, acted, fought on this stage. I have painted this stage. I have built sets. I have watched my daughter grow into a flourishing actress. I have watched other children go from very quiet to social butterflies and blossom into wonderful adults. The experience that this building brings to citizens of all ages is irreplaceable. And the history of this building, irreplaceable. We have to do whatever we can do, and I'm on the auditorium commission for this building. We have to do whatever we can do to make sure that this building continues to tell stories, continues to give opportunity, continues to meet the need That need being an outlet for some children to have a place to fit in, to pursue their talent that they didn't even know they had, to gain confidence, and to learn social skills and communication skills, and the confidence to stand up on stage. So there's not a lot of things that I'm this passionate about, is this facility and the mission of the Foundation of Arts. And the way the city plays in that is it plays a strong supporting role in not only helping with the programming and the finances that are needed to do that, because of all the scholarships that the program gives. It's also given them a home and a facility that meets the needs now and also meets the future needs of the growth of the Foundation of Arts. So thank you for that question.
Next question is, what are some specific ways we can improve to make Jonesboro more appealing to potential new residents, including physicians, business people, artists, and graduates of A-State looking for a place to settle down?
First of all, Jonesboro has to be safe, and it has to have a reputation of being safe. I would surmise that 90% of people that are researching our town to decide whether or not they're going to come to school here, to decide whether or not they're going to start a business here, or to relocate here, the first thing they look at is the crime rate and whether or not Jonesboro is a safe town to raise their family or start their business. So we have to support our police department, our fire department, and the needs that they have to make sure that Jonesboro continues to be a safe place. The second thing is Jonesboro needs to be clean. We have to clean up Jonesboro. There are ditch banks, there are streets, there are backyards, there are stuff everywhere. And I can tell you this because I witnessed it firsthand. Harrisburg Road, right in between our neighborhoods. And I am ecstatic about the new beautification commission that's coming on board. And they've already started 2 events and projects as far as cleaning up neighborhoods. So I just said, hey, I'm not going to wait on them. We had our own. There's about 5 of us that met at our neighborhood. We cleaned up Harrisburg Road, 1 mile, 7 55-gallon bags of trash. That's an entry point to our town. And you cannot reproduce a first impression of your town. Somebody comes into Jonesboro and they drive through Jonesboro, they drive down the bypass, they drive on the Harrisburg Road, and they see that. We cannot get that back. That's something we can do something about. So let's go back to the Beautification Commission. I'm so excited to see what they're going to do in this town and how they're going to engage all the citizens in the neighborhoods to clean up Jonesboro. So our reputation of being a clean town is paramount.
So what are your thoughts about the Downtown Jonesboro Alliance? How does DJA fit into your plan for the city, and how will the city support DJA in the future?
Well, Jonesboro has a lot of great areas in town. We will in the future have a lot of different areas of town, which is great. Diversity and variation on what we can offer current citizens and new citizens is great. We have the Greensboro Village. It's going to be a mixed-use live, work, play area. We have the new development that's going on Highway 49, mixed-use plan development, live, work, play areas. Downtown Jonesboro is the heart of our town. It's the history of our town. This is Jonesboro. Now, certainly, like I said, by all means, we have some unbelievable parts all throughout our 82 square miles. But the heart of Jonesboro and the story of Jonesboro is right here. It behooves us to protect that and preserve that. And I fully support DJA and their attempt to circle the wagons and work together, because many voices together, working together, is how you'll get better results. And bringing all the businesses and the residents together as a coalition, like DJA now is kind of rebranded, is important, because there are experiences in the future that can be improved upon. Improved lighting, improved pedestrian safety. And let's go back to this, 36. Let's go back to the downtown Jonesboro new code redevelopment. That's going to be huge as we move forward. And that's not just this year. That's going to be 10, 20 years down the road. The experience of downtown is going to be drastically different in the next 10 or 20 years. And I am so excited to see that more people are going to be living downtown. That's going to help businesses. Whenever somebody's actually living, you have 10,000, 20,000 people living down here. That is absolutely going to revolutionize your ability to make money for retail business, for entertainment, for the entire experience of downtown. So super excited about that.
We're about to come up on our last few questions here, and this is also a yes or no question, and we'll give you a moment to clarify your answer. Do you support a potential hamburger tax? If so, what events will you promote to make it worthwhile to the city?
So the operative word there is potential. So is that 1 year, 10 years from now? So if you want to use the word potential, I'll say yes. But if you want to talk about right now, no. The reason is because 2020 looks different than 2019. We are 4.5% ahead of budget year over year as far as tax collections last year. Right now, we're sitting at $4.1 million worth of a surplus right now. The other thing that changes that equation is we now have 12 months worth of collection data for the internet sales tax. Last year, it started in July, so we're about 2 months. We're 2 months behind as far as reporting. So last September, I started doing the math, and September, October, November, then you can start trying to extrapolate out and trend out what this internet sales tax was going to look like. And it looked like we were going to have an extra probably $800 to $1 million worth of sales tax generation per year because of the mandatory collection of internet sales tax. So before we make any decisions moving forward like that, we need to see how 2021 plays out with the full year, another year of internet sales tax collections. We need to see what the full impact of COVID-19. I'm very excited to see that we, once again, like I said, 4.5% year over year is what we're at right now, ahead of budget. And some economists were saying that we potentially could face a 30, 40% deficit in sales tax and retail sales. We haven't seen that in Jonesboro. Now, I'm sensitive to some small businesses who have been decimated, and us being one of them, having a small business that was absolutely affected by COVID-19. But we're specifically talking about sales tax collections at the city government level, and right now, things are looking really well. We're in good financial health right now with our city.
So one last question to close out your time here tonight. Briefly explain why are you running for mayor? Briefly.
Once again, my name is Andy Shatley, and I'm running for mayor of Jonesboro. Briefly, I feel like I'm the most prepared candidate, the most passionate candidate, the first to announce my mayoral candidacy, my first to file for my mayoral candidacy, and excitingly enough, I'll be the first on the ballot on the mayoral race. I think that deserves your vote for the next mayor of Jonesboro. I'm not looking for a title. I want the job because I believe in this town. I believe in our potential. This is my hometown. We have great things in store for us. I believe I have the skill sets that translate over, and I also have the past proven leadership in the healthcare profession that will absolutely translate over into the future of leadership of Jonesboro. Once again, I appreciate the format for both of you, and also I appreciate your attendance. I'm always thankful for the opportunity to connect with voters so that I can show you that I'm the most prepared candidate to lead Jonesboro in the next 4 years. So thank you very much. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
Kristi Pulliam has exercised a point of privilege and requested one final question. And that is, of all the plays staged here on this stage at the Foundation of Arts in the Forum Theater, which was your favorite?
Point of clarification, please. Can we include musicals? You just said plays.
Of course, any production that
Okay,
would have been
okay.
staged on this stage here at the Forum, beautiful Forum Theater.
So without question, my first experience here at the Forum, actually my first musical in my life. My high school drama teacher tried to get me to be in musicals my entire high school career. I didn't. So when I was 35, 36 years old, I was in my first musical right here, Les Mis. No question. It's the most powerful story. If you understand the storylines of redemption and forgiveness and love and fighting for what you think is right, it's all in that musical. I've made some unbelievable friends that for the rest of my life because we went through that together. It was the most, as far as I'm concerned, it was the most glorious musicals ever hit this stage. I hope that we continue to see more of that in the future for the Foundation of Arts and the Forum Theater.
Thank you. This is Andy Shatley, and let's thank him for being here tonight. We'll take a short break while the next candidate comes and we reset the stage.
Yes, sir. What are the differences in being a small business owner and being the mayor?
Well, that's the question everybody wants to ask. I wouldn't know about being the mayor because I do have a small tree service, and being self-employed is kind of a very unique thing. A lot of people that are self-employed, they've already retired from another profession, they start a business, but I've actually done this my entire life, so you understand budgets and you understand how you have to kind of plan out your resources to make things come out. Like I've got like 20 batteries, I've probably got 100 tires, and you can't replace all of them in 1 year, so you got to make sure you have a new battery, because a battery only lasts like 4 years. I mean, it's just simple, practical things like that you have to consider every year, because you have to think ahead, you have to study the market, you have to talk to people, you have to deal with people, because at the end of the day, you want to get paid. So it's just a different way of doing things. So.
Next question. Councilman David McLean has noted that anyone running for mayor, for the mayor's position, better be ready to drink from a fire hose. What kind of experience do you have to prepare you to be the boss of 300-plus employees and answer to the citizens of Jonesboro with your experience?
Well, yes. Yeah, you're going to take a lot of heat and a lot of criticism. I do have a sports background, too, like Andy did, and I understand that. I mean, people, they can criticize you. They have the right to do that, and you do have to justify what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that's a fair statement. A lot of people said, do you really know what you're getting into? And I said, well, as a 60-year-old man, I look at the world quite a bit different. I can take criticism. I've been mocked. I've been ridiculed. I get that. But people have a right for their own opinions and to state their mind freely, but they do not have the right not to be civil to one another. And civility and trust, that's what's missing in our city government and state government and federal, of course in the federal government, there's none of it at all left. So, yeah, just things like that.
So at the end of your 4-year term, what are 3 accomplishments you will have achieved, and how will you pay for them?
Okay, well, you can't really see into the future. With this pandemic, I mean, things change like overnight. So when you start talking about accomplishments and things you want to do, you kind of have to be realistic on what you can actually accomplish. So if I could restore the trust and that people would kind of calm down a little bit and kind of come together a little bit, then I would consider myself very successful if I could just accomplish that one thing.
So to close out this first section, we have a yes or no question for you, and we're
Good,
going
good.
to,
I like that, yeah.
and we will give you a little bit of time to elaborate on that
Right,
yes
go
or
for
no
it,
answer.
go for it.
Okay. Would you support a mask mandate?
No, absolutely not. When you have a mandate like that, then you got to, somebody has to enforce it. So you're asking a law enforcement officer to go to, even to a group of people, and then you got to detain them. You put them in a car, you take them to a detention facility. There's people that work in the detention. You're spreading the virus. You're not accomplishing the goals you want. Like I said, I've got a degree in history, and history pretty well demonstrates that these things do work, and we need to do that. But when you start trying to mandate something, then you have to enforce it, and it'll be counterproductive. And history kind of shows that too. So.
Okay, next question. We're going to focus a little more on the downtown area now.
Sure.
Downtown Jonesboro and the FOA are points of pride in our city.
They certainly are.
What plan will you get behind or create to make downtown even more livable and viable for current and future Jonesboro citizens?
Sure. Well, I want to enhance the green spaces, and that includes downtown. That's kind of my background, is trees and flowers, and they actually improve the air quality. Global warming actually is real, and it's something we do have to address, especially in the cities. And shade trees, the urban trees, actually accomplish that. There's a lot of things in global warming besides greenhouse gases. There's actually the tilt axis of the Earth, and the Earth has done this before. So I mean, there's history about there's even history about climate. I know it's kind of boring, but it's actually out there. But when you're planting trees and you're just trying to make a more livable environment, that's your economic development. That's when you let things go downhill and they get dirty, and like even cleaning the streets. I mean, you have these big, huge street sweepers, but actually they manufacture a little thing that almost looks like a golf cart that actually vacuums up dirt and trash, and you back up to a dumpster and dump it. And if we had maybe a fleet of them, maybe 6 or 7 of them, that you could actually do the sidewalks and keep downtown immaculate without, and you can even do it on a budget, because those big street sweeping trucks, they're expensive, they're old, and they're kind of obsolete. So you have to look at modern technology and how it applies. But yes, the green space and the livability, it all ties together. I mean, you can't separate it. That is economic development too. So this is easy.
Next question.
Another yes and no one. Let's do that.
What are your plans to meet the needs of the homeless community while also addressing loitering downtown and the safety of downtown patrons and businesses?
Okay, that's one of the reasons I actually got involved. I ran for mayor in 2016. I don't know how many people remember that. Probably not a whole lot. But when I first got involved in this whole political thing, the first people that came up to me were the homeless, And they explained to me in detail how a person becomes homeless and how they get out of being homeless. And there's long-term homelessness, and then there's short-term homelessness. Long-term or chronic, there's government programs for that, but you have to qualify and get into it. Temporary homelessness can last anywhere from a week to a year. So we really need a real simple answer to that. We need a locker or a storage area where they can store some of their temporary belongings once they get kicked out of their car. So, I mean, there for a while, homeless people live in their car, and then when things don't get any better, and then you can't get a job because you can't shave and clean up, and you can't, present yourself for employment. So there's some temporary things that we can do, but there's no real solid answer. Now, we didn't even have the hub 4 years ago. Now, I'm not taking credit for it. I just brought it up. And to Mayor Harold Parent's credit, he said within 90 days of the election in 2016 that he was going to bring a group together and do something. And that's how the hub started. And he did a tremendous job on that. And that's a start. And I'm sure that he would have done more if he could. So.
What does the foundation of arts mean to you, and what part will this city play in ensuring that it and this beautiful Forum Theater remain viable?
Oh, man, I love that question. I watched my very first movie as a child in this. It was The Strand back then, and it was Old Yeller was the movie, and the dog dies at the end if nobody hadn't seen it. But yes, and at the time in the 70s, they were going to, I'm sorry, I got to ruin everything, but there was actually people that wanted to tear down the Forum. The Strand is what they called it. And there was a lot of us that kind of talked the group out. Downtown Jonesboro was in a mess until we even developed the A&P Commission, because I can remember we didn't even have that. You got to promote your city. It's economic development. When you do the arts, I mean, it's economic development. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. It's just something you have to do. If you're going to have a modern city, people got to have something to do. They got to have entertainment. They got to have it. I mean, I can't sing or dance, but I love to watch other people do it. So there you go.
What are some specific ways we can improve to make Jonesboro more appealing to potential new residents, including physicians, business people, artists, and graduates of A-State looking for a place to settle down?
Sure, that's why I'm talking about the green space. It all goes together. You can't really divide it out. We do need a new justice complex. We have, I think the city owns like 7 acres on Johnson Avenue, and that was originally where the justice complex was going to be built, and they had kind of short-sighted when they did the thing on Caraway Road, but if you build a new justice complex on Johnson Avenue, that frees up a whole square city block right over here where the justice complex is now. Now that building, it's kind of a nice-looking building. I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I'd like to turn that into a downtown theater. I mean, I love the Forum and all that, but I'm talking about one more for the performing arts. I'm keeping this one. I mean, I'm not doing that. But I think if you do a downtown theater, then you start talking about industrial recruitment. I mean, that's a big thing, because all these people coming in, they got granddaughters and they've got sons and daughters. I mean, the theater, my niece is actually a theater major. She has a master's degree, and she teaches theater at the Huntsville Public Schools. So, yeah, the arts are kind of in our family. I mean, I have zero talent, but I really appreciate that. And I mean, if we can take the green spaces and kind of develop it with an art system downtown. I like to build a trolley, too, to answer the parking question. Everybody goes, Elwood, where are you going to park at? But if you make a trolley that goes down, over here on Church and Union, kind of make it, because there's a lot of big empty parking lots around the churches and St. Bernard's and stuff that at night they're not using those parking lots. And plus they give a little character. And when you start eliminating some of the parking on the streets, that's the place you can plant a tree right there. I mean, it doesn't have to, and when you take the trolley by there, you can actually see something green every 10 or 15 feet around there. So there's just some common that I can do. So, all right, thank you.
So let's talk about the Downtown Jonesboro Alliance. How does DJA fit into your plan for the city, and how will the city support DJA in the future?
Well, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about that organization, but of course you got to support it and back it. I mean, downtown is very unique. When I was a kid, I graduated in 1978 from Jonesboro High School, and downtown was a disaster. And all cities were moving outward. We had Indian Mall and everything, all the development was going that way. And downtown just, it was in the pits, to tell you the truth. And the improvements that's come there, some of the investment that the people have made in some of these older buildings and stuff, it wasn't the government, it wasn't the mayor, it was private investment, but you have to, as a mayor and as a government, you have to recognize that you have to support organizations. When people have a passion for something, you have to recognize it, and you have to do what you can to encourage it all the way around. I mean, they're not looking for the totally funded. You just have to do what you can do for it. So, yes, I'm totally behind the Alliance. So.
All right, this is the last substantive question of the
They're all
section.
substantive.
And it is a yes or no question.
There is no
I know
dumb
you've been
question.
waiting for the yes or no
Yeah,
question.
I like this.
And we'll give you a little time to answer. Do you support a potential hamburger tax? And if so, what events will you promote to make it worthwhile to the city?
Well, when you start talking about hamburger tax, it's a prepared food tax, I think. That's kind of how we got the A&P Commission originally, but it doesn't matter whether you're taxing hamburgers or hammers. You got to do it fairly. So if it's just to separate out an item like that, no, I would not be for that. Then you have to enforce it and you have to collect it. I did support Team Jonesboro. Sales tax are the city government is the bottom rung of any government, and any kind of sales tax you pass, the city gets 100% of it. They don't have to share it with the county or the state or anything else. So But right now, you know, sales tax are pretty high, and I talk about Amendment 1 all the time, and a lot of people don't want to hear me say that, but if Amendment 1 gets defeated, then there is an opportunity that you could approach the public for a half-cent sales tax, because the police and fire, people are totally for that. They just don't want any big grand plans that they can't really follow. So, no, I wouldn't do necessarily a hamburger tax, no.
To close out your time here tonight, briefly, why are you running for mayor, and why should the people of Jonesboro vote for you?
Well, I mean, we have to have a mayor. I mean, people have to get involved in politics, too. You have to have candidates, and you have to have people to choose from. And I was pretty pleased with my first run for mayor. I shared a lot of my ideals, and they actually became reality. So when one person shares their ideals, as long as they can explain it to people, I think they appreciate that somebody would do this. And it is kind of hard. You do get ridiculed. You get mocked and stuff, but I'm kind of used to that. I mean, it's just part of it, and I just thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk and share ideas. But, you know, I talked about the homeless last time. That got solved. Drainage districts, you know, there's no stormwater utility tax. You do the basic maintenance and you clean things up, so I'm not disappointed. Of course, I'm a competitor. I want to win, you know, trust me. And so, some people say, Elwood, you're not trying hard enough, but I'm taking care of my dad. He's got stage 4 prostate cancer, and it's just, you know, life is complicated. And when you got campaigning, I can't go around shaking everybody's hands. I can't hire a band, and I mean, you just have to. But anyway, I took a lot of criticism, even just, you know, I'm not trying hard enough. I don't really understand what they're talking about on that. So the only thing I can do is control what I can control, and that's just sharing my ideals and not running over my time. So.
Thank you very much. Kristi Pulliam has exercised a point of privilege to ask a final question. Sure. I kind of got the question a little bit wrong for the candidate who was on the stage before you, so it won't exactly match up to his question. The question she wondered about was, what is your favorite play or musical or theater production?
That's easy. Wizard of Oz. I mean, how can you not? And I seen it here a couple years ago. I guess Trey Stafford was in it, and wasn't he the wizard or something? But anyway, the Wizard of Oz, I love that. Like I said, my niece is in theater, and as a young kid, you know, theater in Jonesboro High School saved a lot of kids. I mean, they gave them something to focus on. She's made a career out of it, and so many kids gravitate toward the theater that it's very, very important. So, musicals, no, I can't sing or nothing like that. So.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for being here, and let's thank the candidate for his time.
Hey, come on, we got to do more than that. Come on. No, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the interest that people come out, and because it is our city, and it is important who is the mayor of Jonesboro, and you have to kind of relate to all different walks of life and all groups. And as a 60-year-old man, you know, if you elected me when I was 40 or 50, I probably wouldn't have done a very good job. But at 60 years old, I mean, I understand that the clock's ticking, and I'm closer to the end of my life than I am to the beginning of it. So, and it's important to me what kind of city we do leave behind. And people matter, words matter. It's just, we're all in this together. We can't just separate ourselves out, because when you isolate yourself in one small group, I mean, it doesn't turn out very well. So, I mean, just thank you. I guess I'm supposed to shut up now, right?
That's perfectly fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We'll take a short break to reset the stage and bring the third candidate out. All right, our third candidate is Harold Copenhaver, and we will begin with a question from my co-moderator.
Okay, here we go. What are the differences between leading a bank and being the mayor?
That's a wonderful question. Do y'all mind if I stand? Okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable when I do that. I feel like I can talk to the audience. You know, the similarities and differences, they're major. A difference being a bank is that we can't be transparent with our customers. But at the same time, they have to have trust in what we do. With the city, it's all about transparency and showing the community the trust that we have and show the community the trust and the transparency because it is their tax dollars that we're working with. But more important, let me talk about some of the similarities when it comes to banking and being a mayor. You know, my role at the bank has allowed me to be a business development officer. And I would say 40% of the mayor's job is to develop our economy, to get people from the outside of our area to come in and invest in our community. So again, that kind of is a similarity to go forward with that as well. So I'm looking forward to using the ability of what I've learned in banking. And let me tell you this, for the last 6 years, I have been fortunate to be working on the City of Jonesboro's account. That is public knowledge, that is public record. So when it comes to learning the curve to checking accounts, learning the curve to investments that the city is in, how to put bids out for CDs for the taxpayers to get the return on their investment the best we can, I'm already aware of that. Also, when it comes to banking, you also have to be aware of mayor as fraud protection, merchant services that are provided, and remote capture deposit as well. So these are things that I've been working with the city already. The CFO of the city, his first week, he's been there I think 2 years now. I've been working with him ever since he got in office. So that door is not something that I have to open and learn. It's already prepared and it's preparing me for this journey.
All right, next question. You have referred to transparency as being the hallmark of your time in office. You've referred to it here tonight if you become mayor. What do you expect transparency to achieve?
Transparency can be used a lot of times as just a word. But to me, transparency means trust. It is important that we grow this community together, and they have to have trust in the leadership. I have to have trust in the city council. The city council has to have trust in the citizens, and the citizens must have trust in their mayor. Transparency is one of my pillars that I've already rolled out. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do a transparent organization. More importantly, it's involving the community in this process. I'm meeting Thursday this week with some students that we can learn from them on what we can do to make it more accountable. Our city website, for example. It is easy to improve. It's not costly. But we have to make it more transparent for our community to understand. We just went through a critical time, obviously with the storm. We've gone through a critical time with COVID. So to be more transparent is to provide the opportunity on our website for the individuals of our community to know where they need to go for help and assistance. Because at the bank, people were calling me saying, Cope, I don't know what to do. I don't have an accountant to help me. This is where the city, in my experience, can move us forward in transparency and providing that opportunity for our community.
Okay. At the end of your 4-year term, what are 3 accomplishments you will have achieved, and how will you pay for them?
It's all about money, right?
All about the dollar.
Well, number one, I am thrilled that I had the ability in the legislature to work hand in hand with Arkansas State University. And in doing so, that is going to be one of my primary motives and working together as a team. The university is our best asset in our community because it's diversification and involving the students in our city government is key. They have the knowledge, they have the ability, but nobody asked them. I met with a gentleman today at one of the public schools. He said they are involving their students in the designing of a new building on their campus. Well, guess what? Those students now are part of this community. That is the same thing that I want to do with Arkansas State University. That's my priority. We're going to be working together hand in hand, knowing what's going on daily. It's contact. It's all about relationships. Number 2 is economic growth. This community is wonderful. I came here in 1970. My dad was Dean of Fine Arts at Arkansas State University. I understand the arts. But more importantly, economic development, it all derives from the community. People willing to invest their time, their love in this community. So economic development, number 2, I have said from the onset, I've got a first 100-day plan. The first thing I'm going to do is have an economic development group which consists of all local officials. It will consist of industrial park. It'll consist of individuals. It'll consist of an individual from FOA, CRA. It is important that we go ahead and set our goals. I'd like to see 3 goals for infrastructure, and I'd also like to see our long-term goal for 30 years. That's what the predecessors did before us. Thirdly, safety. Safety is the key to this community, and we can improve on the quality of life as long as we provide safety for our individuals. I want grandparents and I want our children to be safe like I was in 1970. We can provide that. This community, through conversations that I've heard, they are willing to step up to the plate to provide our community, our officers, our first responders, what we need. And safety to one individual might be just fixing the sidewalk in front of their house. Safety to somebody else might be a light. So again, those are the 3 main areas that I'd like to really work on, but I think there's going to be a whole lot of other things that we're going to accomplish. Thank you.
To close out this first section, we have a yes or no question for you.
Okay.
And we'll give you a little time to explain. Would you support a mask mandate?
Can I answer that first and then say with yes or no?
Up to you.
Again, my background has provided me the opportunity to see what it's like on the other side and serve at the highest level in the state of Arkansas. Number 1, a state mandate would be very hard to impose because the citizens, they have their rights. More importantly, as mayor, though, I have to follow the law. If the governor feels that there is a state mandate that's necessary, it is my job as mayor to be able to interpret that to the community and the relevance. I have to think about our community. I have to think about the individuals in our community. I have to think about their safety and well-being. Would I impose one? No. Would I work with the individuals on why and educate them it would be necessary? Absolutely.
So let's switch gears a little bit and focus more on the downtown area.
Okay.
Downtown Jonesboro and the FOA are points of pride in our city. What plan will you get behind or create to make downtown even more livable and viable for current and future Jonesboro citizens?
I'm excited you asked that question, and let me give you a little bit of background. My dad was Dean of Fine Arts in 1970, and we moved here. In 1971, I was on this stage, so that was 50 blah, 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 blah years ago. But I was in 4th grade, and I was a singer. I didn't play football. I played a trumpet, I sang, and I was a thespian. That's my background. The love for the arts is here. It's in my heart. I've been on this stage many times. But more importantly, here's what I'm hearing. Many of my supporters invest in this community, and they're downtown, people that live downtown. And I talked with a lady yesterday. Here's the key, is getting people to live downtown. We've got to promote this. I have visited with the new owners of the Citizens Bank building. Some people might not even know that that's been purchased 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you, it's exciting what they've got in plans. That's going to be a cornerstone in our community. It always has been. Now it's going to come back. It's important that we promote this. And in my banking business, I am a business development officer. So different institutions call me, and my job is to take new recruits that come in to be employed by them. They ask me to take them around the city and show them. So I take them, and number one, I ask them what they love to do in our community. And so I take them to those areas. And everybody has a different vision. But more importantly, it's what we can do downtown. That is the number one question that they ask me. Take me to your downtown. What do they do? It's called connectability. We have to connect the university to downtown, downtown to West Jonesboro, downtown to the park outside, south of Jonesboro. But what I'm hearing as well, and talking with developers, you know what? They want to participate in this. So as an investment for our community, it's not as costly as what we always want to talk about. So again, growing downtown is key and relevant to bringing people and business into our economy here for downtown.
Okay, next question. What are your plans to meet the needs of the homeless community while also addressing loitering downtown and the safety of downtown patrons and businesses?
In answering that question, that's almost a twofold question, because when I visit with patrons that live down here, I mean, they see it every day. They feel safe, okay? That was a surprising answer to me. But more importantly, I go to First Baptist Church down here, and I'm on a safety detail team. And when I see that, the homeless people are there every Sunday morning. It's the same ones. And this is not a situation that's going to go away. We can't solve this situation in a year. But I'm telling you, there's already plans in the works for a center to be provided for the individuals. But as mayor, it is my job to go out to the community and promote this to the community, make them aware of what it does and the services that are there. As the city grows, this is going to be a continuing situation. Another area that none of us, including me, was even aware of, but when I was in the legislature, when I came back to the community, I went to one of our high schools. We have high school students that are homeless. You're talking about making your heart break. That's what I'm talking about. But our community is the most benevolent community in the state of Arkansas. I've witnessed it and I've seen it. We will pull together and we're going to work on this problem. But I think it's a solution that we can continue to work on. We're going to have to educate our community, not just downtown. It affects our entire community. We need to do that. So.
Next question is, what does the Foundation of Arts mean to you, and what part will this city play in ensuring that it and this beautiful Forum Theater remain viable?
Well, again, when I performed on the stage in 1971, I'll never forget it. There used to be a band pit right here. I've played in it, I've sang on it, and performed on this stage as well. But the arts are a key role, and they always have been in my life. My father was Commandant of the Air Force Bands. He was in charge of 75 Air Force bands in World War II. He was an opera singer, but he never forced that on me. He gave me the opportunity to do the same thing. The foundation of the arts is a pivotal point in our community. As mayor, I think it's important that we look and see, and what I've heard is we need to clean up downtown. As a city, we need to, as mayor, I'm going to get out there. If I have to do it myself, we're going to clean up the sidewalks. We're going to clean up the back roadways that we have downtown. Provide more lighting. We've got great lighting here. City Water and Light, oh my goodness, I can't say enough about City Water and Light. But we need to expand that. We need to expand it to the people that have invested in downtown community to maybe go to Flint, light this area up. We need to provide more the police lights with the blue light. That's a deterrent. That's a deterrent. So again, it comes to safety. We make our community safe. Everything is going to be possible for downtown. So again, the city has invested over $325,000 in renovations in this facility, and it costs the city $30,000 a year to keep the maintenance up. So it is important that we promote to get programs in here, promote that we get actors in here, productions in here, and Miss Kristi does a fantastic job. I think Usually during the year, she would have 10 or more productions of our community. But I understand the children that are on the stage build relationships. The children on the stage then go to our university. They become educators. They become teachers. Then they're teaching your grandchildren and my grandchildren one day. That's the importance of the Foundation of Arts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What are some specific ways we can improve to make Jonesboro more appealing to potential new residents, including physicians, business people, artists, and graduates of A-State looking for a place to settle down?
That's an easy answer for me because I experienced that firsthand. And as I mentioned earlier, one of my job descriptions at the bank is to take physicians in our community. It's to take young people. It's to take investors in our community around. I understand where Industrial Park began. It was a vision of individuals in 1970 that came together and said, we need to formulate a plan not only to take care of our community the next 3 years, what are we going to do 30, 40, and 50 years down the road? We've got to do that again. That's why I'm going to do an economic summit. We're going to plan again for the future. Some of us won't be here to see it. But again, this is the importance of involving everybody and youth to move forward.
Okay, next question. What about the Downtown Jonesboro Alliance? How does the DJA fit into your plan for the city, and how will the city support DJA into the future?
Well, DJA is a lot like the FOA in some regards, but DJA is more of the individuals that have invested in this community downtown. Again, it's all about supporting our entire area. If downtown does well, then our community is going to do well. It is my goal. We have currently 250 residents living downtown, whether they're coming into a bed and breakfast, whether they're coming into a hotel, whether they live downtown. It is my goal within 4 years is to be able to assist the DJA to produce and be able to have hopefully 500 individuals downtown. If we do double that again, by year 8, we'll have 1,000 people downtown. It's a self-revolving, and it'll take care of itself. The other issue is connecting with the university as well. This is what people like to see, they want to see, and we need to have green space. Expand on green space on all these connectivity routes so people can walk their dogs, people can ride their scooters, people can ride their bikes, or people can just go walk with safety. And we connect along that freeway because I see that in other cities. But again, people have already bought into that. They want to help and they want to participate in this as we go forward in the community.
Okay, this is the final substantive question, and it is another yes or no question. We are hoping for a yes or a no. You did give us one previously. Do you support a potential hamburger tax? If so, what events will you promote to make it worthwhile to the city?
Well, again, a hamburger tax, and I think everybody needs to be aware, a hamburger tax can actually be passed by our city council, as well as, I believe it's a hospitality tax, without the approval of the city. But more importantly, as mayor, it is my role, before any tax is passed, is to be able to know what that tax is going to be for, where the money is going to go, and how long that tax is going to be available. So again, and then have the community support. Will I support a tax if the community is behind it? Absolutely. Will I not support a tax if the community is not behind it? Absolutely. So again, it's all about relationship. It's about trust. The community, as I mentioned earlier, the citizens have to trust their mayor, and the mayor has to trust the citizens.
So to close out your time here tonight, briefly tell us why you are running for mayor and why should the people of Jonesboro vote for you.
This is simple. I wish I had half an hour to talk about it.
Briefly.
Briefly, thank you. To move Jonesboro forward, to work together. I've been very fortunate to have the support of our mayor. I've been very fortunate to have the endorsement of our city firemen. And let me tell you what, I've worked with both of these groups hand in hand, and that's why they're supporting me. I've been fortunate to serve the people of this community at the highest level in the legislature. I served on legislative audit, which prepares me to understand what our budget is about. I've served on Revenue and Taxation Committee, where I cut and signed on to over $100 million in tax cuts for you, the individuals back in my community. I served on 911 Task Force. Statewide, I chaired it. I brought back the committee here to our community. We have one of the finest 911 individuals and leaders in the state of Arkansas, in Jeff Presley. We're going to work forward and continue that role for him. I've been fortunate with experience to work in the banking and finance world. That provided me the opportunity not only to work with small organizations, individual organizations, but it also prepared me to work with industry larger than the city government's budget. I'm familiar with the process. I understand the process. I've also got experience being a business owner myself, making payroll, paying taxes. My real life experience as a husband, as a father to 3 wonderful children that are still in this community, they're involved in this community. That's because they know our love for this community. But more importantly, I have 3 wonderful grandchildren, and that's why I'm also running. This didn't happen overnight. I've been involved in this community for over 30 years. Over 30 years in the community, whether it's been nonprofit organizations, sweat and tears. I love this community and moving forward. This is a big job as mayor. Nobody knows what that job is like until you sit in that seat, and I realize that more than anybody. But I'm ready, I'm qualified, and I feel that this city needs stability as we move forward in these uncertain times. I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote to be your next mayor of Jonesboro.
Thank you very much. Kristi Pulliam has exercised a point of privilege to ask a final question. Before I ask it, I would like to note that orchestra pit that you discussed is directly below you.
That's correct.
It's still there. So what is your favorite play, musical, or theater production?
I saw a play, and it was actually a theatrical production. When I was a young individual in our community, I sat back here. I think I saw it twice. It's a very long play. And if you don't mind, I might start off with a song. See if y'all recognize it.
If I were a rich man, I-do-dee-do-da-do-dee-do-da-do-dee-do-da-do-dum. All day long I'd pity, pity, bitch. If I were a wealthy man, I'd wanna work hard. I-do-dee-do-da-do-dee-do-da-do-dee-do-da-do-dum. Anybody recognize it?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. No. Fiddler on the Roof.
Terrific. Thank you very much,
Absolutely.
and thank you for that song. That was terrific.
You didn't expect that, did you?
I did not. And let's thank the candidate, Harold Copenhaver, for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attending. This concludes the conversation with the candidates here at the Forum Theater in Jonesboro, Arkansas. According to COVID protocol, we ask that you move out of the building quickly for a meet and greet in the Rotary Plaza, just immediately outside the front doors of the theater. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you so much. Brock Klein, for working with me. I know it was difficult.
It was wonderful, thank you. We appreciate you all. Y'all have a good night.